Before today's video starts, I want to mention that according to YouTube statistics, only about 23% of all the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you end up liking today's video, please consider subscribing. After all, it's free and you can always change your mind and enjoy the video. I have a Patreon now, it's down there in the description. There are quite a few tiers, go check it out. It will help me out a lot if you decide to support me. On to the video then. Hello you beautiful people, it's been a while, we're back at it again. I figured I might show you guys how you can actually, what can you do when it comes to gaming on Linux, what you should expect. Some of you guys might remember this video that I made a while ago, like 5 days ago actually, as I'm recording this. Basically, what this video was about me basically trying to get some games running on the Linux, and it is a pretty good guide. It shows you the really basic setup for gaming, but now that I have a bit more knowledge, I figured, hey, let's just take it a bit more to the advanced side of things. I did mention Lutris in this video, so that's what I'm gonna start with, just to show you an example. Now it won't be great, let it be known, but basically what the point of today's video is to show the more advanced setup. Now some of you who have been long-time followers of my GitHub page might remember these guides that I've written a long time ago. They've been recently updated to accommodate for the latest versions of the XVK, and also to fix some bugs that I was running into before. And this is basically with what I was able to get games like World of Warcraft and launchers like Battle.net to run on the Linux, which you cannot normally get running under normal circumstances. Now you can get them running through Lutris, which is what I want to talk about, but it's really it's really up to you. So here I have Lutris, and basically what I did is I went online and found a installation file for SimCity 2000, and all I did was I went over here and I typed in SimCity, if I can type, SimCity 2000, and I click this search Lutris button, and it should have popped up with, I guess it has to be spaced out, and there we go, and it shows up with 2 versions, and the version I installed was this one, and I click the install button, or you can click install another version, it pops up with this. And what I did is I selected the MS-DOS version, I clicked install, and it asked me for the file, so I browsed for the file, let it select the file. It then showed up with the installer, you just install it like you regularly would, and that's basically how I got the game running. So I installed that, and the only thing that's cool, it's not working properly. So I have SimCity 2000 installed. Maybe I have to rename Lutris in order for it to work normally. There we go. So I got SimCity 2000 installed, and pretty much what it does is if I click play, it will launch normally. However, there's something I need to do. System options. Can I set a virtual desktop? I don't think I can. Okay, let's switch the resolution to keep my regular resolution, and you can set up really a lot of things in here, like reduce audio latency if you want to, prefer system libraries, restrict it to a single core, which it will run fine, honestly. You can set custom resolutions, you can make it so it executes scripts, which you might remember me mentioning, with other things. There's this graphics scaler. You can exit DOSBox with the game, or you can open the game in full screen if you want to. You can set some arguments in here if you really wanted to do that, and this is what it's using. It's using a DOS emulator, which is basically using DOSBox to run this game. A lot of people were able to get a ton more games running through Lutris. However, I find it that sometimes just doesn't work right, because a lot of the games that I tried just didn't want to work at all through Lutris. It's basically kind of the same thing like Play on Linux, but Play on Linux used to be known for being like extremely complicated. Nowadays it's not the case. You can use Play on Linux, but it's not as advanced as, you know, as Lutris over here, which runs like perfectly. I'm not sure that it runs, but I'm worried that my resolution will get screwed up. I mean, I did set it so that it like runs at a proper resolution, didn't I? I did, so it's like, I guess we could try and test it, you know, see if it runs. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was expecting it to do that. But yeah, you can hear the sound. So yeah, there you go. And it's the game, so I can load a saved city. I don't have a saved city. Okay. So we can actually start a new city, and this is basically SimCity 2000. So test for video, and we can say 1050, and that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can start playing the game as you would normally. I'm just gonna quit it. So there we go. That's the game running in its entirety. I just wanted to show that it is indeed possible to run the games just fine. It just takes a bit of time. You just have to search for your games by clicking the search button. You can also search for like a rhythm game like Osu, for example, and you could install it from here, but I didn't have much success with this. A lot of these games that are shown here just don't want to work on my system for some reason. But yeah, that's pretty much the thing I wanted to mention. So in the guides, this is just as an example. I have steps for installing Wine Staging, because that's what we need to use in order to get all these games running on our system. Because Wine Staging is an experimental version of Wine, which has a lot of features that the regular version of Wine doesn't have. And a lot of games are dependent on using the staging branch of Wine in order to run those games. So it's a bit more of a complicated setup, but in the end it's more worth it, because you'll be able to run a lot more games. Also games you shouldn't be able to run normally on the Linux, you'll be able to run just fine over here. So I already did all these steps. This is just the setup for Wine Staging, this is for Debian, and this is for Arch Linux. So I have covered all three distributions in all these guides. And the guide is pretty simple. You just make a directory in your games folder, which you can create by doing make dir games, just like that. I already have it, so it's not gonna let me, but you can make a games directory, and then you wanna make a custom prefix directory. The prefix directory is a directory for essentially your virtualized environment. For example, I have a Battle.net prefix and a World of Warcraft prefix. This is the World of Warcraft prefix I made. It took a long time to figure all this out, but it's a really old guide. It does look really like there's a lot to do, which there is, but it's really important to have all of this set up properly so that all your games do run properly. So just to show you, I have Blizzard running over here, which is the Battle.net launcher. So I can indeed click this install button and it will start installing. You know, it will let me know where it installs. It will take around 6 gigs of space. So I can click start the install, and it's going to start the installation, which is really cool. Also bear in mind that the notifications may be slightly broken. That's because some distributions or some desktop environments just don't cope well with animations or transparent elements actually. So it may cause problems, but other than that, if you run your games in full screen, it actually helps a lot with running these games. So you just follow this guide. You need to get wine tricks, but once you have wine tricks, it's pretty much the same across the board. So once you already have done one of my guides, you don't have to do this anymore. You could create just one wine prefix for all of your games, But then the thing that would happen is that if something happens to like that virtualized environment that like keeps crashing, or you have something corrupt, you have to redo the entire guide again. You have to do it from scratch, which isn't really fun. So once you do all of this, this will create a prefix inside of a directory you choose. So for me, I have it in my home directory, and it's called classic WoW wine. In fact, I think I can show you this. So this is basically the guide for the game, and I don't mention this when it comes to running the games, because I don't have it mentioned anywhere in any of these guides. When it comes to running these games, I would recommend you to do something. If you don't want to have a separate terminal running for all your games that you're planning on running, all you have to do is type in, once you follow all the guides, you should have files like WoW Classic or WoW Classic Kill, for example, if you follow the World of Warcraft 1.12 guide for World of Warcraft Classic, which is my favorite rendition of World of Warcraft. So that's what I play. It runs just fine under Linux with Wine. And what you would do is, I actually have it somewhere in here, don't I? Yeah, so what you would do is you would type in this ampersand. Oops, I forgot that the keyboard has changed. So ampersand and a exclamation point. And what this will do, this will essentially run the game as a separate process. Therefore, once I click enter, it runs as a separate process, so I can close the terminal. The way you would have noticed it is that it showed a number, and the number is the process ID or the process number. So you don't have to have your terminal running at all. You can just execute the game like that. It will run in your wine prefix. I remember running it just like that and was running just fine. So if it's not working just like that, because some games just don't play nicely with this, which does happen, what you can do is you can just run a WoW Classic Kill, for example. Now this will kill all the other instances, I believe. Yeah, it doesn't. So this is actually... Oh, I actually have to type in the password before saying anything. Okay, so WoW Classic has been stopped, and therefore the first one is killed. So one thing you have to remember is that if at any point one of your wine instances crashes, just like it happened in my case, you will end up closing even your first instance. So let's say when I use this first window for our game, so what we can do is we can run the game again. So I'll run it again. See, now we're able to run it. There we go. Now it's launching just fine. And there we go. That's the game running. I can log in if I want to. I hope it didn't change my keyboard. It didn't. And there we go. That's for the Warcraft running. I have a level 60 Paladin. So I'll use that as an example. Now the frame rate may not be great because I'm running the game using open source drivers, so it may end up being kind of sketch. But the game is running just fine. On my computer it's running on a much higher frame rate, but it's running just fine. I'm able to play this on my Linux system, and you pretty much would set up your wine prefix for all your games like this. You can even set up a Steam prefix for your Steam games if you plan on playing that, but again, it's up to you. I'm not gonna bother playing the game now because I don't want to waste any of my CPU cycles. But yeah, that's pretty much how you would go about setting up something like this. Yeah, so there we go. And what you wanna do is, once you're done with the game, you can this will kill all the wine processes. So you really need to be careful. But most of the time it will just kill itself. So you could have just killed the terminal. You don't have to have it running in the background. It will just run in the background. So one thing I was dealing with before making this tutorial is when I was trying to figure all this out, I just looked at my old guides and I didn't realize it was working just fine like that. So yeah, then again, this is the continuation. This is the more advanced tutorial essentially, which is pretty much an extension of this old video. Well, it's not that old, but this shows you the basic setup. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I was able to get all my games running under Linux. Well, all of them, like most of the games that I'm playing anyway, that I am playing. So if you have a game or something like that that you want me to cover, or cover my experiences with playing games on the Linux, just let me know. I would like to make a video about it. I am really enjoying all of this. I'm able to run my games just fine on the Linux without any issues whatsoever, which is really beneficial. So I can open up, where is that? Yeah, it's a command which isn't pretty, but if you run it like this, it will run just fine. So if you're not worried about any of this whatsoever, you should be fine. So it should open up real soon, which also, one more thing, like, takes a long amount of time before you're able to before you're able to do like anything. It like takes a long time to launch, because it has to launch Wine, it has to launch the prefix, it has to create the virtual desktop, it has to open up all the apps that you are planning on running, and it's all like mentioned in the tutorial. Not this part specifically, but all the other parts are mentioned, even the steps on creating the script itself so you can run your games. And this is pretty much cross-platform basically. I was running these games the exact same way under Arch, under Debian, and now under Ubuntu. Of course, the commands in terms of the Wine setup are the same, but in terms of getting Wine installed, it's different across distributions. And of course, as I'm going to show you something, it's not gonna work. So what you can do is, if it doesn't end up working, you can again, if I can find the command, that is Battle.net kill, type in your password, and you should be able to kill it. You should be able to run it again, and there we go. So once you see the Wine staging thing as it showed over there, let me show you actually that you can actually close this terminal and it will run in the background just fine. So you can see I moved it now to the first workspace, and it's still running even though my terminal is not running anywhere. Look, I can move it between workspaces and it will work just fine. I just moved it to my fourth workspace, which ended up moving it over my second monitor. So I can move it to the second workspace, it's back. So I can move to the first one, which reveals my face, hello. Can move back, I can type in my password, log in, and I'm able to play all my games with this. So yeah, if you guys ended up enjoying today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will catch up with beautiful people next time. If there is anything you want to ask me or want me to cover, like setting up a specific game for example, I'll be trying to do that, but bear in mind my computer isn't really powerful. So if it's a older game, I should be able to set it up just fine to show you a basic setup. And then all you have to do is just figure out all the kicks by yourself. One more thing. In the tutorial there is a step where you have to install like Direct Play or .NET, the .NET framework. You can use that Wine tricks command to install like Direct Play and such, which is in the Battle.net tutorial or in the Battle.net guide. So I would highly suggest that you follow that. And if you need to install like, I don't know, like .NET or something, just use that command and add things along. You can search it up, you can type in Wine tricks, and then you can type in like .NET or MSVCR something, because a lot of games require these files in order to run. So this pretty much helps with setting up your games to be able to run them under Linux. And with that, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I hope to see all of you beautiful people next time.